Welcome, adventurers. Are you prone to reckless actions? Do you charge into combat and take excessive damage? What if I told you there is a Pathfinder class that can help? That's right, the Champion has you covered. Just make sure you wrap up early because their deity does want them home by 9, and they really do have to follow the rules. Welcome to Rebel Then King. Today, we discuss the mighty, the stoic, the kind of annoying rule-following tattletale, the Champion. It's another really iconic class in the overall fantasy genre, and it might just be one of the strongest in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Alright, let's go over the basics of the Champion. It uses either strength or dexterity as its key ability score. I think that's the first of the sort of switch hitters that we've seen. It is trained in simple and martial weapons and proficient in all kinds of armor. It has 10 hit points per level and is trained into a number of skills equal to 2 plus its intelligence modifier. I don't often talk about saving throws because in a way, I don't really care, but it is important to note that the Champion is an expert in will and fortitude saves. There are 6 subclasses, which are called causes. You've got 3 good and 3 evil or bad, and really the most popular by far is the Paladin. What you're looking at here is a tank. Between those 10 hit points per level, the proficiency in all types of armor, and the fact that they have shield block granted to them at level 1 means if you want to create a character that survives combat, you play as the Champion. If you saw my video on bards, you know that I think they have the single greatest action in the game, Inspire Courage. Well, the Champion has the single greatest reaction, Retributive Strike. It's granted only to the Paladin subclass, which is why I think that tends to be the most popular. It is triggered when an enemy damages your ally and both that enemy and the ally are within 15 feet of you. The ally gains resistance to the triggering damage equal to 2 plus your level, and if that foe is within reach, you get to make a strike. So basically, you help your buddy and you attack the bad guy. Well, why is this so good? Honestly, it's because you're going to use it all of the time, and that's typically not the case with reactions. A lot of reactions in the game have like a very, very specific trigger criteria that you just don't see that much. But man, given the brutal nature of combat in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, an ally of yours is going to take damage pretty much every round. And as long as you are positioning yourself correctly, you're going to be able to use this reaction. And being able to both reduce damage and make an attack, in addition to the 3 actions you already took on your turn, is kind of like taking 5 actions every round, and that just can't be beat. Okay, so imagine this scenario. You and your party of 4 are facing off against 2 orcs. One orc, who's already pretty damaged, steps up against your fighter, who is also damaged. That orc takes a swing, hits your fighter goes down. Your best chance of getting out of the scrap just went face down in the dirt, and now you've got kind of a rough 2-on-3 situation ahead of you. Imagine that same scenario with a Champion. That orc steps up, takes a swing at the fighter, hits, but the Champion steps in and blocks some of that damage. Now your fighter is still left standing, and then the Champion, boom, strikes back, hits the orc, and now it is the orc who drops. Now you've got a 4-on-1 and a pretty easy cleanup job. I mean, really nothing can turn the tide of a battle like a Champion. So I've talked about the single greatest reaction in the game, but it's not the only one offered to the Champion. The other causes do have their own unique reactions, which are all pretty fun. The Redeemer can use Glimpse of Redemption, which does have the possibility of blocking all incoming damage. The Liberator's Liberating Step can allow an ally to break free of a trip or grapple, and if you've ever been grappled or grabbed in the game, you know it is a really terrible place to be, so it's a handy reaction. And then there are the evil champions like the Tyrant, who can command an attacker to lie prone, that's pretty badass, let's face it. Each of the evil reactions also grants you a little bit of bonus damage to your strikes, which is a really cool vindictive playing style. I like it. They're not as useful as Retributive Strike, but they're pretty nice. Okay, and we're still not done talking about reactions because you've got all of the cause-specific reactions that we just went over, but all champions also have access to Shield Block at level 1. Now, this is a general feat that yes, any character can pick up, but it's nice being given it for free at level 1. The way it works is, well, first you do have to use an action on your turn to raise a shield. Then, after your turn, if you are hit by an enemy, you get to use Shield Block. And what that does is it absorbs some of the damage. Some of it will go to you, some of it will go to the shield. Now, why this can be so helpful for a champion is the fact that they are often just kind of holding the middle ground of an encounter. And what they can do is use their great armor, their shield, and shield block to just sort of goad the enemy into hitting them, to focusing on them, and they can just ward off all the blows and stay alive. And that in turn saves all of their allies from damage too. So it might not be as dynamic and reactive as using the reactions, but it's a very effective and can be a very enjoyable strategy. So who doesn't want to be an ultimate tank? I mean, it sounds amazing, right? Well, I would say those who want to hit really, really hard probably won't enjoy their time as a champion. You see, despite that training in martial weapons, a lot of champions are going to use only a one-handed weapon because they're holding a shield in the other hand, which means they're limited to like a D8 weapon. They also, despite being a martial character, don't have any bonuses to attack or to damage, so it is just your strength and your damage die, and that is it. Compared to like a barbarian or the accuracy of a fighter, you might feel a little bit weak. So if you're all about that DPS, the champion might not be for you. Another reason you might not want to play as the champion is they are bound to a set of rules called the Champion's Code. The rulebook states, you follow a code of conduct, beginning with the tenets shared by champions of all alignments, such as good, and continuing with the tenets of your cause. If you stray from your alignment or violate your code of conduct, you lose your focus pool and divine ally. So if you are a player who, really enjoys chaos or wants to be able to change allegiances and alliances, a champion is really not going to work out for you. Wait a second. Did I just say focus pool? And isn't that something that casters use and aren't champions martials? Well, yes and yes. You see, in addition to the greatest reaction in the game, champions also have access to the greatest, the most spammable, the 100% real natural cheesable healing spell, Lay on Hands. It is a focus spell. It takes one action and has a range of touch, and it allows you to heal an ally or yourself for 6 hit points. It does level up 6 hit points every other character level, which is great. And because it's a focus spell, it recharges every 10 minutes as long as you have time to meditate and refocus, do whatever you need. It is just so fantastic in combat, and then outside of combat, it is just so overpowered. Because it's rechargeable, you can just lay on hands, refocus, lay on hands, refocus, and repeat, which means you can do it 6 times in an hour for 36 total points of healing. I mean, no medicine checks, no dice rolls whatsoever, no consumables, no spell slots, just 100% real natural cheese healing. Well, there you have it. The best reaction in the game, nearly imperviable defenses, and the most delicious healing cheese. All of this combines to make the champion easily a top 10, maybe a top 5 class. I suppose its lack of hitting power and maybe kind of narrow roleplay guidelines affect its score a bit, but I'm still going to give it a solid 8 out of 10 pairs of goody 2-shoes. I do wonder, has anybody actually played as an evil champion? I mean, I think it'd be fun to be one with like a bunch of skeletons in your party. That'd be cool, right? Or what about playing as a dex-based champion? If so, let me know in the comments. Feel free to charge in with reckless abandon, knowing that the champion has your back, and your left, and your right, and your front. I think, right? Retributive Strike is 15 feet? Yep, 15 feet. Cool, good. Nailed that ending.